Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to talk to this person. One of my favorite topics, obviously food, but candy. We're going to talk about candy at Christmas. And this person is the host of Candy is Dandy podcast. And so I'm so excited to talk with him. Welcome.
Hello, I am Daniel Zaffron, one of three hosts of Candy is Dandy, the Candy Review podcast.
I don't even think I said where I'm from. I'm silly. Okay. Julie Hogue of Vegetarians and Meat Lovers podcast, Split Table Recipes. Okay. Whew, I almost
Now
forgot
we
that
are,
one.
our credentials are on the table now.
Okay, so tell us about you and your podcast, and you, of course, can mention your other podcast as well if you'd like.
Well, I don't think anyone's interested. See, the other podcast I do because I live in Los Angeles, and
Mhm.
the other podcast is an LA history podcast, which I've learned how many people are interested in that in LA history. But candy, everyone, I mean not everyone, but a lot of people, more people love candy than they love Los Angeles, I think.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So the show, so every first and third Wednesday of the month, we pick a different candy, me and the two other hosts, Greg Gonzalez and Beto Sistos. So we pick a different candy, we give the history of the candy, and then we taste it and review it and rate the candy on the air.
That's so fun. And there's so many different kinds of candy, right? Like you can just keep going and going and going. Then you could do candies from other countries. I
That's
mean,
what
wow.
yeah, it's see whenever I walk through like the candy aisle at a grocery store, I'm like, this is years of content ahead of me right now. But because there's so yeah, like I've been trying to focus more and more on international candies
Mm,
because we do have international listeners, and I feel
mhm,
bad whenever we pick something that in America is like, you know, it's always on the shelf. And then in other
mhm.
countries, they're like, I've never heard of this thing. So I like to try to pick things that are more available to other people.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, and we have in Minnesota, I'm in Minnesota, we have this, I think it's called like the Minnesota's largest candy store or whatever. And it's really big and it's long. And I've put a couple of videos, I think I put them on YouTube, walking down the this amazing store. And they have all these different candies. And then they also have an international section where they have all these different countries, like chocolates from different countries and stuff. And it's just so much fun. My kids absolutely love it. It's just so every kind of candy you can imagine. So it's like super fun. It's just a fun topic.
See, that's what, because the idea, like the LA History Show, we have been doing for 10 years. But during the lockdown of the pandemic, I was like the only fun we could have was like buying different foods to have.
Yeah.
So it kind of dawned on me like I haven't tried 10% of all the candy I'm seeing in the grocery stores. And who knows when this could all come crashing down and I will never have tried an Abba Zaba. And so it just kind of struck me of like, well, why don't I make an excuse to try all these candies
I love
and
that.
demand people pay me for it?
I love that. And there
Yeah.
are so many candies out there. And like, the candies that I had growing up, like at a store like the one I just talked about, I can find those candies and be like, hey, hey kids, this is a candy I had when I was a kid. But you
Right.
can't find all of those kinds of candies everywhere online. Like you said during the pandemic, everything became delivery.
Yeah.
Everything was like deliveries exploded.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot
So
of stuff just doesn't exist. Like I used to love Butterfinger BBs, and they
uh
were, like the little tiny balls of Butterfinger, and I thought they were
mhm.
great. And they just, I don't know where they stopped making them. But a lot of them also, as we've learned in doing the show, like a lot of times we'll bring in like, guys, this is my favorite candy and you're going to love it. And then I haven't had one in 10 years, but it's my favorite
Oh.
candy. And then we all try it and it's just embarrassing that like this is what I said was my favorite candy because recipes change. I don't know. Like
Mm.
it just when you're examining food in a vacuum with two of your friends staring at you,
Yeah.
it kind of things taste different.
It's kind of like what I like. My husband and I were watching movies sometimes with our kids, and we're like, "Oh, this is the best movie ever," and it's made like a long time ago, and the kids are just like, "Oh, that's so fakey, mom. That's like terrible." They
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
standards are so different.
it's hard to say you like anything because whatever you like, everyone's going to take that as a challenge to not like it.
Exactly. And it just doesn't, some of the stuff does not compare to today. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I could see that happening in
Yeah,
candy as
yeah,
well.
tastes. I mean, like because in each episode we do a segment at the beginning of candy news of like some
Mm.
candy related. Sometimes it's like a candy, someone stole like a truckload of Cadbury or something. But other times, like there's like a Cosa Nostra, like hidden force behind the candy industry that kind of dictates like this year people will like this. And it's like I think last year it was like this year everything will be extreme sour, extreme sweet. So
Ah.
the tastes do change, and sometimes artificially.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I think also people's taste change. Like something that you liked a long time ago, you've been exposed to so many more things. It just tastes
Yeah.
different. It may not be as good as you remember because you've had all these other things in the meantime.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's kind of like even like Reese's peanut butter cups, which I will always
Mhm.
maintain is my favorite candy. But then we
Yeah.
tried it and I mean, I gave it a high score, but it's not good. Like it's gross. Like it's junk, it's like
It's
McDonald's. Like it's kind of
right.
gross, but it's really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's good junk food.
It's good junk candy food if there is such a
Yeah.
thing. I think there is. There is. That's junk candy,
Yeah.
junk food candy.
Yeah, I mean there's like from a candy shop like a gourmet chocolate
Mhm.
that's almost real food.
Right. Well, and I heard on the radio recently someone was talking about how like just gross American chocolate is compared to the rest of the world. And so to me that is junk food chocolate. It is because it's more like fakey tasting and
Yeah.
maybe just artificial. It's not like getting the really good chocolates.
Yeah, people like we have like British listeners and stuff that are like don't buy Cadbury that says it's made by Hershey on the back, like the Cadbury made in America is made by Hershey.
Mm.
But even that being said, like I love a Three Musketeers. Like they're
Mhm.
not good quality, but I love them.
Exactly. And we go through Hershey bars, like making s'mores and stuff. So we still use the Hershey's. I like
Yeah,
Hershey's. I don't think Hershey's is bad, but some of the
no,
chocolates are kind of not as good. But I think Hershey's pretty good. I like
I
it.
don't think it's bad. Like we've kind of been we haven't done Cadbury, but we've done Meiji chocolate, which is like Japan's
Mhm.
version of a Hershey bar.
Oh, okay.
And it's that's another thing of like different countries' tastes. Like the Meiji bars are not very sweet. Like they almost taste
Yeah.
like baker's chocolate, and it was
Mm.
not good to me at all.
That reminds me, my husband went to India one time and he brought candy back. Their candy, my kids were like, this is not candy. And it doesn't taste like candy. It's not sweet. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's almost weird. It was like, I can't even describe it. And that's their
Yeah.
candy.
Yeah, there's a lot like, like in like mochi is candy, but it's rice based, so it kind of tastes like rice. So
Mm.
it's just like I have Eastern European American sweet tooth, really sweet impulses. So
Mhm.
anything that isn't overly sweet is uh it just doesn't do it for me.
Right. Well, I love dark chocolate too. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of dark chocolate. I bought some really dark chocolate lately, and it's weird. It's like 85%
Yeah.
cocoa. I don't know. It's a weird flavor. Like I like
It's
dark chocolate with red wine, but that one's really weird almost.
Yeah, I knew a guy who had the exact percentage of like I cannot go over this percentage of
Uh,
chocolate or I can't eat it. But it's kind of because I don't know how they come up with these weird percentages, but like there's so many different candy bars. Like this is 93% dark chocolate. This is 82% dark chocolate. And I mean, I guess 100% is just baker's chocolate, right? Because there's like
oh yeah.
no dairy or anything in it.
Sure.
So like I'm curious to see how far down that road I can go before it just isn't edible to me. Because
Well,
that
exactly.
I was in China once and I saw a giant chocolate bar with like the skyline of Shanghai made on it. And I was like looking at it
Wow.
for days and I was like, I'm going to buy this towards the end of my trip. And I bought it and I took a big bite into it and it was Baker's chocolate.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've never actually tried Baker's chocolate. I've used it in recipes, but so
I
I'm
don't
not even
think
really sure what it tastes like.
I don't think you're supposed to eat it. It's just supposed you're supposed to like shave it off into brownies or something. Like I don't
Right.
think you're supposed to sit there and chomp on it in the movie theater.
That's hilarious. Well, I suppose we should talk about one of our major topics we're going to talk about, which is Christmas candy. Now, Christmas
Yeah.
candy, there's so many candies, and you have some information about history of Christmas
Y-
candies to share.
Yeah, I've got some Christmas and I've got one Hanukkah also, the only
Ooh.
Hanukkah candy we've got cuz each year we last year we did on the show we did candy canes obviously and then we did
Mhm.
Ferrero Rocher which
Mm,
I consider to be a Christmas candy, and I'll explain to you
yeah.
why. But there, this year, what did we do this year? Oh, yeah, we did Hanukkah Gelt this year. We had
Mm.
all two of the major religions represented now. But yeah, there's just I mean, every holiday seems to have its candy.
Yes.
And the candy that kind of represents each holiday is usually bad. Like candy canes aren't really good.
Right.
Hanukkah Gelt isn't really good. Candy corn for Halloween isn't really good. Peeps
Right.
for Easter isn't really good. Like all of these signature candies are kind of terrible.
Mhm.
But yeah, the what let's so yeah, I mean candy cane's the most obvious one, but that's another thing. The like lore behind why we eat these things on these holidays has so many different like there's so many different versions of what it could be. Like
Mhm.
nobody seems to really know and people also kind of seem to just be making up what they think it is because like the most common story for candy canes I heard was that it was in the 1600s in Germany this priest made sugar sticks to
Mm.
give to children in church who were like bored out of their minds for the
Right.
Christmas ceremonies. So he made them for them. And then, but like candy isn't allowed in church. So he turned it into a crook. And then he was like, well, it's religious now, so they can have it.
Right.
So
Oh, funny.
that's kind of like the most accepted theory of those, but it still kind of doesn't really make sense.
It's kind
But
of like the shepherd staff, right? The
yeah,
shepherd.
shepherd
Yeah.
staff thing. But then like there's
Mhm.
stories that like candy canes were used as a symbol of like persecuted Catholics in Europe. And some people think that like the crook is should be the other way and it's a J for Jesus and like the
Oh,
red is
wow.
blood and the white is purity or like there's so many
Wow.
weird like people are just kind of attaching meaning to a gross candy I think to justify
Right.
them being around still from the 1600s.
Is that
um
how long it's been? Wow.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean they came the exact date was 1840, not date, the exact year was 1847 that they came to the US in Ohio. A
Mm.
German Swedish immigrant brought them, and I think he also is the same guy who first brought Christmas trees to America. But
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
that's another part of the show that like I'm glad we do the history of them because there's so many things that we just like every single candy has a pretty weird story and it's just we just kind of gloss over it and shove it in our mouths.
Right. Oh, interesting. I never even thought of that. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's like you know, Snickers is named after the owner, the guy who created its horse. Um, Three Musketeers used to come as three different flavors. That's why they're Three
Oh,
Musketeers.
yeah.
Uh, Butterfinger. The weirdest story was Butterfinger because they used to do these like promotional campaigns for Butterfinger where they would just drop Butterfinger out of an airplane over like populated areas, and people would like fight each other for Butterfingers. And a kid won a contest to go sit in one of those planes that did it. And then that kid grew up to be the guy who flew the plane that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima.
Oh,
And
oh
that
my
was like his
gosh.
first ever plane ride was in the Butterfinger plane. Like
Oh my
there's so many
gosh.
weird stories
That is a
that
very weird story.
it's crazy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
obviously not something that I don't think the company's probably wants to promote, but
No.
it's just weird. These weird stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so then we did Hanukkah. Oh yeah, can't so on the show we rated 0 to 5 cavities for each candy.
Okay.
Candy canes, I don't even know if I would give candy canes a 1. Do you like candy canes?
I buy them more for tradition. My kids will eat them. They kind of like the flavored ones better than the mint, but we kind of just buy it out of tradition. I mean, there's been some years where they didn't even eat them all, but I don't tend to eat them, but my
Yeah.
kids do. I kind of buy them, like I said, just more for tradition and hang them on the
Yeah,
tree,
they're decoration. It's edible
Mhm.
decoration. But
Right.
there's some flavored ones that are actually pretty, like we tried it was like a spicy mango one, and that was really good. Like
Oh,
there's good flavors, but the
yeah.
regular one is, I mean, it's just a mint. It's not that it's
Right.
bad, it's just a mint.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
not very exciting. I remember as a kid though, I loved getting like the big candy cane, like the big, like the rod. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just liked that. We thought that was cool because it
It's
was
cool.
different probably.
Yeah, and you could use it as an actual shepherd's staff.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so this year, yeah, we did Hanukkah Gelt this year, which that one is even you know more confusing, and like nobody really knows the true story because like the Hanukkah holiday is celebrating the Maccabees retook Jerusalem, and they lit to like rededicate the temple of Jerusalem. They lit some oil that was supposed to
Mm,
burn for 1 day. It lasted for 8 days. That's why there's 8 days of Hanukkah. So
sure.
to come in actual real world history to commemorate that event, they minted coins that
Mm,
had a menorah on it. So that's one theory of why, because Hanukkah Gelt is, it's just a chocolate coin and it has a
okay.
menorah on it. And
Mm,
that's why, to sort of commemorate that in that way. But then there's the other theory that because I guess the word for education in Hebrew sounds like Hanukkah. So it
mm,
became sort of a holiday of like teaching and education. So I guess parents would give their kids coins to
mm,
teach them how to give charity. So they gave kids
mm.
coins, and the kids were supposed to use those coins to like basically buy Hanukkah candles for people who couldn't afford them so that they could celebrate the
Oh,
holiday.
got
But
it.
I guess, how many kids are actually going to you give a kid a coin, are they really going to go help other people with it? And then eventually
Right.
that just kind of turned into, well, let's just give them chocolate coins instead. They can't
Right,
they can't do
right.
damage with that. So that's kind of, those are the two biggest theories of that. And then those came to the US in the 1920s in New York City when
Mm,
more Jewish immigrants were coming, and that's when they sort of like standardized, like, we're going to wrap them in foil, we're going to put them in these little mesh
mm,
bags, and that's when that kind of took off. But those also are not good. It's hard to rate that one because that's basically just chocolate, like you're rating chocolate. So it depends,
yeah.
if you get it at a great chocolate shop, it'll be good. But if you get the mass
Mm,
produced one, it's not going to be good. So
not gonna be good. Yeah.
that's also kind of hard to do. But that's another thing. Like, it's just a decoration. It's just like
Hmm.
candy canes. They're not meant
Right.
to be good.
And then America obviously copied that because we have the coins too that look like, the quarter and they're chocolate too and they're wrapped in foil. So that's probably, I wonder if they
Yeah.
like copied that. It's like, oh, let's make our version.
But why? Like, what?
Like why? I know, right?
Why? They're not good. But I also, one of the other things I heard was that I guess in the Netherlands, I think they would, for the Saint Nicholas's Day or whatever, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
they would
Hmm.
give coin, because the word geld means money. It just means money in Yiddish.
Oh,
So
okay.
And I guess that's similar to the Dutch word, because they would also give chocolate coins to kids for St. Nicholas Day, which is, connected to like it's all, that's the other thing of like Hanukkah has sort of been influenced by Christmas in America. So like it's not an important holiday by any means in like the grand scheme of religion, but because it's kind of around the same time as Christmas, because everyone else in America is doing Christmas, it kind of became sort of a thing of like, well, let's do stuff too.
Right. I can totally see that. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're
But
like,
I don't
okay,
know
well, we
what.
don't do that, but we do this. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. We want to fit in, but we're also ourselves. I mean, I don't know why people would want to make their own, because they sell gold coins with just like JFK in the supermarket. Like what holiday is this for? What, for JFK Day?
Right.
But the other this next one, I have never had one of these. You know those Terry's chocolate oranges?
Oh, we love those
I've
at our
never had
house.
one. They look
They're
really good.
They are good. And they make a raspberry one too, which they're both really good. I buy those every Christmas, and our whole family chows those. And they're fun. They're just kind of fun. They're like,
Because you like
and you,
smack them, right? And they come
right.
apart. Yeah.
And then each chocolate is like a piece of the orange, and it's like imprinted like a segment of an orange.
Yeah.
And it's good. When I was younger, I used to think, or, even before we had kids, I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. Orange and chocolate. But it actually is very good.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest orange and chocolate fan, but if it's like a hint of orange, I think I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, it's not overpowering.
The smacking it is really what I'm interested in. I want to smack one of those and see it come apart. But isn't that weird though, that like, because I kind of got to the bottom of why oranges are considered a Christmas thing, because I guess it's the Saint Nicholas story of like there was a poor man who's couldn't afford the dowry for his daughters to get married, but like he wouldn't accept charity. So Saint Nicholas got like three gold balls. And what I read is he threw them down the guy's chimney like a grenade. And they just happened to like roll into some socks they had drying by the fire. And like, that's where stockings come from. Like, it's such a weird, I mean, if he can make that shot, I understand why he's a saint. Like if he could throw these gold balls right into a sock, but
talent.
I know, but that's what I read is like why, because the orange balls sort of morphed into like, well, an orange is an orange ball, and that's what I understand why people eat oranges during Christmas. I don't know.
I don't either. I always just assumed that maybe that's when they were really in season or ripe or something. I don't know, because my dad used to do that all the time. He would put like those little clementines in our stockings. Like that would be a thing that they would add. And we thought that was cool. I'm like, oh, there's an orange. Even though we had oranges in the house, but the orange in the stocking was like more special.
Those were thrown through the chimney to get there. But yeah, I mean, are oranges a winter thing? I don't even like. I live in Los Angeles, because I know that when this is where both my podcasts are coming together. When like Los Angeles used to ship out all the oranges during the winter. I mean, not just during the winter, but they could grow here during the winter. So it's also kind of like, oh, it tastes something kind of fresh during the winter months on the East Coast or something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know when oranges grow. Like maybe that it could just be as simple as that. I don't know.
Right. I mean, it could be. And I know obviously they grow oranges in like, down like Florida area and that kind of too. So I guess since they were always around more, I just assumed that maybe this is a good time of season for them. They're more in season.
I assumed that also, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they only grow during the summer and we're like just storing them all up for the winter. I have no idea.
Right.
So this next one, tell me if you think this is a Christmas candy, but do you think almond roca is a Christmas candy?
I do. And I think, I think like you were saying before, it's driven by someone. Like someone just starts to advertise it, or it's just suddenly around. It's suddenly in the stores and they place it in certain places. So I think that that totally influences it for me.
Yeah, because I see them around all the time. There's also a few others like the bocce or bacchi, however you pronounce it, the like little Italian chocolates.
Mhm.
Um, those I feel like are always around, and the lint balls, the like
Oh,
Lindor truffles.
yes.
But I
Yeah,
looked
those.
into those. There's no Christian undertones. Like, there's no reason why those are around during Christmas. They're just, I think that is just marketing for those, and it's
Yeah.
worked.
It has worked because that's totally a Christmas thing. And
Yeah.
my kids have come to be like, "Well, where's those candies in the red wrapper?" Like
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's it. They're in a red
they're in
wrapper.
the
They kind
right.
of look like little Santas. I don't know. Tiny round little Santas. But the almond roca is that one seems to be really just because they come in like a gold wrapper. Like they're in a tin and they're in a
Okay,
gold
okay.
wrapper, and that's kind of
Yeah,
like, I need a last minute gift and I'm here at CVS. This is
right.
kind of a gift. This I could bring this to this Christmas party and it'll be
It
okay.
just looks festive,
It
perhaps.
looks
Yeah.
festive, and people like they tried selling them for a while outside of the wrapper, like just in a
Mm,
tub, and people were like,
okay.
"No, we want the wrapper." Like, bring back the wrappers. But so this one and the next one, so almond rocas were invented in Tacoma, Washington, and it was
Mhm.
right by this military base. So these
Mm.
soldiers started eating them, and that got them a contract with the US military to provide them to soldiers during World War II, who then
Oh.
brought them to Asia with them. And during like Lunar New Year and stuff in Asia, gold is like really good luck. So these came in
Mm.
golden wrappers. So these became really popular in Asia around
Wow.
Lunar New Year because that is like, I'm giving you 500 pieces of gold basically, and it looks really
Fascinating.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very strange just because it has a gold wrapper. But
But
almond
how it
roca,
got there is so interesting. Like, yeah, that they brought it there. That's quite a story. I mean, otherwise they would have
yeah,
maybe never had it there.
there
Wow.
there's a lot of different candies that kind of, like, World War II was directly responsible for them. Like, what,
Mm.
people didn't have enough of this, so they started making this. People went over here and they brought them this. Like, it spread so many different ideas and things. Not that I'm trying to say World War II was great and it spread ideas
Right.
everywhere, but
Right.
it led to so many different situations that things that we have every day now came out of whatever desperation people were in because of it.
Right. I mean, that's just
Like, yeah.
no, I was just gonna say not unlike COVID, right? Like that changed everything too, Like
Yeah.
what happens can change so many things. The repercussions are ginormous.
Yeah, it's I mean, we are a connected world,
Hmm.
for better or worse. But
Exactly.
the last specific Christmas candy I have is Ferrero Rocher, which
Mm.
it's made in Italy, but the guy who, or the dad of the guy who invented Ferrero Rocher, also invented Nutella, Tic Tacs,
Oh.
and Kinder products.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know, like, a hero, a god amongst men, that
No
this.
doubt.
But the thing with Nutella was that during World War II, they didn't have enough chocolate, so he started
Mm.
like cutting it basically with hazelnut to make the chocolate go
Oh.
further, and that's
Uh-huh.
where Nutella came from.
Wow.
Yeah, but so the Ferrero Rocher is the most explicitly religious one I have, because
Mm.
the guy who invented it was very religious, and he would make this trip to this place in France called the Rocher de Massabielle, which was like where the saint saw the Virgin Mary like 18 different times. So
Okay.
it's like this cave. And if you look at a picture, he designed the Ferrero Rocher to look like this cave. So
Oh,
if you cut
wow.
a Ferrero Rocher in half and you
Yeah.
look at a picture of this cave, you see
Huh.
like the rocky exterior.
Oh,
There's the
wow.
like there's the like the layers beneath it. There's the darkness of the Nutella like thing, and then the hazelnut in the middle is supposed to be like a little Virgin Mary sitting in there waiting for you. It's such a weird, like, what a thing to design a candy after.
Right, but I do have to say it's interesting. Like when I take a bite of one, I look at it. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting to
Yeah,
look at. So I usually do look at it. I don't
yeah.
know why, but that's what I do.
You want to see the Virgin Mary. You're checking to see if she's
Apparently.
in there. But so we have a TikTok account for our show where I do
Oh.
like autopsies of candies. And in
Oh
this one,
yeah.
we have the slice of it next to the picture of it. And it's very strange how similar they actually look to each other. But
I
Ferrero
love it.
Rocher, I think these are really good. I love Ferrero
They are
Rocher.
good. They are good.
They're
And I didn't really know that was a Christmas thing until somebody introduced it to me at Christmas. And now forever it is a Christmas thing. But when I was real small, we didn't have it at my house. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, it's so this is another one like in like almond roca is that because they're gold, they're really popular in Asia as well. So
Sure.
it seems to be like a lot of immigrant families in America get these as kind of like almost like a things are good here kind of gift, like look at the bounty of
Mhm.
America sort of thing.
Gotcha.
So that's why they sell them in such big packages around like you could get like a 50 pack of these around this time of year,
Mhm.
and that's what's so crazy about them is that you get them in such big amounts and they're so good. Like
Yeah.
it feels
Yeah.
wrong that you
Right.
get so many of these good things at once.
Exactly. That well, and you know that what if they do it year round? Because if they only do it at Christmas, it also makes it kind of a special thing. Like it's just available now in these large quantities. I've never paid attention, I
They
guess.
sell them, but not in as big of containers as they do this time of year. Because like I was just
Yeah.
at a I guess it was more of a Thanksgiving thing, but there was a big like vase full of Ferrero Rocher, and it's such
Hmm.
a it's like a embarrassment of riches. Like they're so good, and I could eat so
Yeah.
many of them if I wanted to, and I do want to.
Oh, I know. They're so good. One thing when you were talking about the Nutella, it reminded me I interviewed a cookbook author and blogger she lives in Italy and then she also goes to Canada. But she was telling me that in Italy, everyone uses Nutella and they put it on everything. She's like,
Yeah.
it is so, I mean, we have it here too, but I don't think it's as popular. But she's like, yeah, they put it on literally everything there.
Yeah, that I lived in France for a year for a study abroad thing, and I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't even eat Nutella for years when I got back because I had so much Nutella there. Like
Uh-huh.
it really is. You don't see it like they sell it more and more these days here, but
Yeah.
it
Hmm.
really is like it's like on the table for breakfast. There's butter, jelly, and Nutella there for you to
Right.
take in Europe.
Hmm.
Like it's really good though. Like it's a
It is. Oh,
shame
I
that it's
love it.
not. It's kind of surprising that it's not more popular in America. Like it's just candy you're spreading on your breakfast.
Right. I love to mix it with other things. Like, if you ever spread it on a piece of toast and then added cream cheese, oh, that's really
That
good.
is. Have you had a Nutella and peanut butter sandwich?
Yes, that was my next thing. I was like, that's so good too.
That's
Or even on like a rice cake, if you want to cut your calories a little bit, put on a rice
yeah,
cake. It's so, and then you get that crunch that's almost like
yeah,
a candy bar.
yeah.
Like you're getting this crispiness that is less calories, and then you got the peanut butter
Right.
and
Hey,
the
if we put
Nutella. Yeah,
Nutella on some celery, it's good for us now. Like
I
I
know,
could
right?
eat it all day long.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is have you guys ever talked about the cookie butter on your show? Have you tried cookie butter?
I've tried cookie butter and I love
Mhm.
cookie butter. But
Yes.
so and also in each episode, we play a different candy related game at the end of each show.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
one thing we do is a debate of whether a certain thing is candy or not. And like
Oh, yeah.
I'll put polls out.
Mhm.
Is cookie butter candy? Is Nutella candy? I don't know if
Right.
Nutella is even candy.
Right.
It's because we did one recently on Hall's cough drops.
Oh, yeah.
And while everybody agreed this is not candy, everybody also kind of was like, but it is candy.
Right.
Like it's medicine, but it's pretty much candy.
That makes me think of, you ever tried those chewy Tums? Those taste
Oh,
like candy too. I
yeah.
mean, they totally like they're like good, you know?
I think Pepto Bismol tastes really good. Like I would drink that as like a soda. Like if it was lightly carbonated, I would drink Pepto Bismol as a soda. I think it kind of tastes like Smarties to me, and I'm the one person
Oh,
in the world who likes Smarties.
my kids like Smarties.
They're
I
good.
I will occasionally will eat Smarties, but oh, do you have a favorite candy?
See, I still maintain. I think I gave Reese's mini cups a
Yeah, you said that earlier. Yeah.
4.95. I think that
Okay.
was my highest score, but we haven't done peanut M&Ms yet, and those
Uh,
might be my favorite candy.
I love those too.
It's between
Hmm.
Reese's cups and peanut M&Ms.
Yeah. I love that chocolate and peanut butter taste too. I mean, it's really good. I
A,
agree. Like my
a
kids
lot of
aren't
people don't
always,
like it.
isn't that weird? I was just gonna say that. My kids are like, oh, the peanut ones. I actually love them. Yeah.
They're I mean, they're iconic. They're great. They're around for a reason. But a lot of people like Beto on one of the hosts of the show is not really a chocolate fan. Like he prefers
Oh.
gummy, chewy sorts of things.
Hmm.
But I just can't understand how someone couldn't like chocolate. Like how
Me
is
neither.
it's and there's a lot of people like him. He's not alone.
That's foreign to me. I don't understand.
It's a it does not compute with me. I don't get it.
No, but you know, and I'm like one of those people. I don't really like the sour candies. Like my kids love those, but I'm not a fan of the sour candies. Like I wouldn't choose that. I like chewy stuff, but not really necessarily sour. But that's like they're one of their favorites, you know.
Yeah, I like it, but those like sour stuff especially, but chewy gummy things overall give me sores in my mouth after like
Oh
two
yeah.
handfuls of them. So I maybe that's why I gravitated more towards chocolate because
Mhm.
that just turns my teeth into jelly and but my gums are okay.
Yeah, and then the sour stuff too. I think if you eat too much of it, it can start to impact your mouth too. Like they're the
Yeah,
acidity of it.
it like Sour Patch Kids, which aren't even they're not even that sour, but like whatever's on them just
Hmm.
like just takes a layer off my tongue. Like it just feels
Hmm.
so raw after I eat Sour Patch Kids, and they're not even that good.
One of the grossest things I've ever seen, which when my boys were younger, we went to that big giant candy store, you know, in Minnesota, and they had all these different gummies from all around the world too. And one of the gummies was a big giant snake. It made me want to throw up when I watched them eating this big giant gummy snake, and they thought it was fantastic. And I was just like, I can't even look at you, honey.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't.
that were they eating it like an even bigger snake and just like unhinged their jaws and were
Oh my
gobbling it up.
gosh.
I used to because I remember when I was little, I would get those giant jawbreakers. And
Oh
I would just
yeah.
be like
Hmm.
thinking back on it, I want to throw up because I would just be like licking at that for weeks. And that's so disgusting.
I know, right? But mine would like keep it in like a baggie or like a Tupperware, you know, come back to
Yeah.
it.
But
Just
it's
like sit
still
there.
yeah, but it's just like your saliva is just sitting on that and you're just
I
licking it
know.
all over. It's disgusting.
It is. And you wonder like is it probably decaying from that as it's sitting there and then you go and then
Yeah.
you lick it, you know?
Yeah, you're eating like a slowly rotting egg.
But I do remember that. Like I remember one time my sister had it and she kept wanting because there are different layers, you know. So she wanted to be like, oh, now I have this layer. And so she like was really
Yeah.
analyzing and talking about all the different layers she'd get to.
Yeah.
And it was a thing.
That's how they hook you in is well, what's
Mhm.
on the next layer? You got to keep licking this rotting piece of candy and find out. I don't know how you're supposed to eat those. Do you smash it? I don't understand.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could. And then you're like eating shards of candy, you know, it's like
Yeah.
shards of
Uh,
glass, so you're like
yeah.
chewing it.
I don't I love the idea of a giant jawbreaker, but
Mm.
it is the most impractical candy I could think of.
It is. It is. I think it's fun though, like when we went to that store and like just to see all these different candies from different places around the world in one store. like, oh, this is what, and whether that's actually indicative of the candy of that area, who knows?
Right,
But
right.
it's still kind of fun to just like walk around and like, oh, look at that. And there's a lot of weird things that
Yeah, there
surprised me.
that's what's fun. Like I in Los Angeles, there's a lot of different, like there's Filipino grocery stores, there's Chinese
Mm,
grocery stores, there's Japanese grocery stores, there's
sure.
all these specific things. And I love just going in and walking through the candy aisle and seeing like, oh, so this is what they like. There's like you were saying before, there's months and months and months of episodes we could do on these candies I've never heard of in my life.
Oh, yeah. But that's so fun too, because I don't know, candies are special. People think of candies as a special thing. It's a treat, right? And
Yeah.
also around holidays, it's fun.
Yeah, it's comforting, it's fun, and everyone has an opinion on them. So it's more stuff you can argue with your family about during the holidays.
Because we need more of that, right?
Yeah. Let's put all politics aside and talk about whether or not almond roca are good instead.
Well, I guess that'd be better than some of the things people talk about.
I would much rather be in that conversation.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So, what other, do you guys have some other holiday ones coming up, or do you focus on New Year's, or what do you do on your next episodes coming up?
the I think the next episode I get to pick is going to be Valentine's Day, and
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I want to say what I'm going to do because I want to if my co-hosts
Yeah.
listen to this, I want to surprise
Right.
them. But there is a
Yes.
iconic Valentine's Day candy that I'm looking forward to bringing to
Mm.
them as my special little Valentines that they
Awesome.
are.
That's fun. And yeah, and you have the whole like the heart with all the different kinds of candies. My kids love that too. I try to
Yeah.
get different ones every year and we just leave it on the counter and that they
Yeah.
have a lot of fun with that. Like they like to look at the little they like the ones that have like the map in there, like this one is this, and like it's like a drawn picture of what the candies are and what they have inside of them.
Right. Yeah.
Have you ever seen those?
I think so. So last year for Valentine's Day, we did the sweet hearts, the like chalky little
Oh,
hearts.
yeah.
And that was, I used to say I liked those, but those are not very good.
I kind of like the yellow ones though, I have to admit.
They're banana, or they used to be banana.
They're
I,
yeah, I
yeah,
think
those
so.
ones, I think they might have changed a few of the flavors, but
The
I
brands are
remember,
different too. Mhm.
yeah, because I think they went out of business actually, and they were bought
Oh,
by a different company to we must have this disgusting candy. That's Valentine's Day gross candy is the sweethearts.
exactly. That's so true. Isn't it funny how candy is every part of everything? And like around here, I don't know if it's other parts of the country, but like when it's a July 4th parade, they throw candy off the floats. And so then the kids run and pick up the candy and put it in their bags. You can't go to a parade without a bag. You'll be missing out. You
Oh,
won't be getting
really?
all the candy. I don't know, maybe that's just a thing in the Midwest. I don't know, but
I don't know if I've noticed. I mean, no, I don't think they throw much out of off of our parades here in
hmm.
Los Angeles.
Interesting. And maybe that's just a thing here, but yeah, that's always a thing. When we go to a parade, my kids, you have to have a bag because where are you
Huh.
going to put all the candy? You need a
Right.
bag, right?
That's fun. It's like a off-season Halloween
Yeah. And
where you
sometimes
get
they'll
the
throw
candy
like
thrown at you.
exactly. They throw it and then all the kids run and scatter and pick up as much candy as they can. And then they'll also throw like those freezies, like those frozen things, like a popsicle in a tube. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah, but these parades are way better than our parades. We don't get anything for free.
Oh,
They'll
we get
throw
lots of
like
stuff.
business cards or something maybe to us. So this is okay. You're in Minnesota. You're close to
Mhm.
Canada. Have you ever heard of the phrase Halloween apples?
I have, but I don't remember anything else other than that I've heard that.
Because I guess in Alberta in Canada, kids don't say trick or treat when they go
Mm,
trick or treating. They don't say trick or
yeah.
treat. They can knock on your door and say Halloween apples.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, we learned this like a year ago, and we can't stop thinking about how strange that is.
That is strange. Should they really get apples or is it candy that looks like an apple?
It's everything. It's like an alternate universe where everything is the same about Halloween, except instead of trick or treat, they say Halloween apple. Halloween
Mm.
apples.
Wow, that
Everything
is
else
so
is the same.
bizarre.
Yeah, because I know
Huh.
like apples have an association with Halloween,
Mhm.
like bobbing for apples and candy apples, but they don't get apples. They just get, little Snickers and stuff like that.
So weird. That is very bizarre.
Yeah, it now that you know it, it will never leave your mind.
No, it won't. It's too unusual. Yes. Oh, it's so interesting. Do you do it now? There really aren't any New Year's candies. I think it's just extended from Christmas, right? I mean, it's just
Yeah, I don't think so. Not that I can. Yeah, it feels like just the leftover Christmas candy you're eating.
Mhm.
Yeah, New Year's just all I can think of is champagne. I guess that's all
Mhm.
people eat on New Year's is champagne.
The other one we see a lot around here at Christmas time is those Andes mints where they're like half chocolate, half
Oh,
like
I love
green.
those.
Yeah, those are really good. That's a good chocolate. I like that.
I think those are really good, but I don't see those around here during. I see the
Oh.
only time I see those, and they haven't done this in probably 15 years, but is on
Mhm.
a pillow in a hotel as an Andes
Oh.
Mint.
Right, right. That's
That's
interesting. Yeah, it's
interesting.
more
Yeah.
around here. Yeah. Hmm.
Huh. Yeah,
I'm sure
it's well,
regionals are different too, probably regional areas. Yeah.
yeah, I did like we just did something called Goldenberg's Peanut Chews, which is like
Mm.
made in Philadelphia and I guess is pretty prevalent around like the East Coast metropolitan area.
Never
And
heard of that one.
it's not very good, but that's like they're I don't think they're very prevalent anywhere else in the country.
I mean, like, there's some terrible candies. I don't know why this popped in my head, but those like peanuts, where they're like kind of like foam when you bite into them, like circus
The
peanuts. Is that what they're
circus
called?
peanuts, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever actually had one of those, but
I
those
have.
they've got a they've got like a candy corn level reputation.
My son actually they actually like candy corn, but they also like those pumpkins. Like they're like the really big. They like candy
Yeah,
corn, but they're like these big pumpkins. And my
yeah.
youngest just like he just still loves those. Like I remember liking them as a kid, but I can't eat them now. I just can't even eat them.
It's just like it has to be just like a texture thing that people like about them
Uh,
because they don't taste good. Like it's just satisfying to gnash into a pumpkin.
right. They're so waxy. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. To me, they just seem like wax.
No, I don't get it.
Mm-mm,
People are
me
into
neither.
my strange addiction. People are into some strange things.
They are. Oh, the other one I often see growing up, even I would see would be the chocolate covered cherries at Christmas time.
Which ones? Because
Like they would like have kind of like some like white goo inside.
the
It's
like
not really.
Queen Anne
Yeah.
ones,
Hmm.
I that's that may be something I might be doing for a holiday in a few months. But those, I really like those
I
because
like those
those
too. Hmm.
theirs are so sweet. And I
They
love how
are.
sweet they are. Like they hurt my teeth. They're so sweet and I like it.
Right. Yes. I know exactly what you're saying. And for me, I like them, but you can't really eat a lot of them because it's like an overload. I need like
I,
space in between it.
yeah, if it weren't for my teeth starting to hurt so badly, I think I
Hmm.
could eat a lot more. But like it becomes physically painful to eat those
Uh-huh.
because the like my receding gums can't handle that syrup that's inside of them.
Oh yeah. Well, I've got sensitive teeth too, so but I use the sensitive teeth toothpaste. But before I did that, that would happen to me. Now it
Yeah.
doesn't because hey, I'm a commercial for that. It actually
Yeah.
works, right?
I need to start using Sensodyne so that I can start eating more of these chocolates.
There you go. Now
They
you
should do
exactly.
a partnership between those two
They
companies.
should. They
Every
actually really should.
Yeah, every box of them comes with a little Sensodyne toothpaste tube.
That would be really funny. Oh, this has been so amazing. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we end? And also, like, tell everybody where you are and how they can find you. And I really had a blast talking with you. This was really
Yeah,
fun.
this was very nice. So if you want to listen to the show, it's just Candy is Dandy, the Candy Review podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, you'll find us. And if you want to see those autopsies on TikTok, I think we're at Candy is Dandy Pod. I think that's our account. I don't really know. I think that's what it is. I think Candy is Dandy was taken, so I think I had to add pod to the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, you could. Those are. It's like a very brief history, and watch it get sliced up. And yeah, our episodes come out the first and third Wednesday of every month.
That sounds fun. Now I have to ask you about your autopsy. Do you take like a knife and like cut through it, or how do you do it?
I've got a special knife that I use to slice through all these candies. Yeah, it's some of them are kind of like, what am I going, I'm going to slice into this bar of chocolate. How interesting is that? But I tried for a while, like maybe I got like a little blowtorch and I was like, maybe I could melt them
Oh,
down, but like chocolate doesn't really melt as easy as you would think. It just kind
hmm,
of burns.
yeah, yeah.
And that doesn't look very appealing. Like, it's usually slicing them up. Occasionally, like I've microwaved some Jolly Ranchers down because they turn into like a nice goo. And a candy
Hmm.
cane, I melted a candy cane down and they become like rubbery.
Oh, it's so weird.
Yeah.
I think my kid came home one day from school and said, I can make a candy cane disappear. And all he did was like basically put it in a cup of water. Right. And
Yeah.
that was the magic trick. And like eventually totally was like gone. And it was just all
Hey, it's like it's like cotton candy. It'll just kind of disappear into the ether on its own.
I was gonna ask too, like, do you ever like heat them up or freeze them? Because it's like gonna cut differently if they're like firm or they've been in the freezer or they've been in the microwave. Yeah. Hmm.
It definitely, like, I have tried to not do chocolate things during the summer months because
Hmm.
it just becomes disgusting when like you're trying to manhandle a piece of a Twix or something. It just becomes gross to look at.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so amazing. Thank you so much. This was really fun. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
thank you for having me.
chatting. All
Yeah, this
right. Well,
was great.
you have an amazing day.